I accidentally dropped a Rolex worth $1 million. When I dove into the sea to find it, I stumbled upon a mysterious stone. As an experienced treasure hunter, I instantly recognized it as an ancient ship's ballast stone. And stones like this usually mean there's a sunken ship full of treasure nearby. Thinking of that, I rushed to the surface and immediately told my teammates the good news. After hearing it, they grabbed their gear and dove right in. Before long, I made another discovery. When I dug it out, I realized it was a golden dagger from hundreds of years ago. Finding such a rare relic made me grin from ear to ear. Now all we had to do was find the rest of the treasure, and we'd be set for life. To boost our efficiency, we went to the market and bought a bunch of detection equipment, then headed straight back to that same sea. First, we marked the general area with ropes. Then we used metal detectors to scan carefully. Soon the detectors started beeping to find out what it was. I signaled my teammate to use the blower to clear the sand. A thick iron chain appeared in front of us. Realizing there was something big beneath it, I told my teammate to turn the blower to full power. As the sand scattered to both sides, a massive object finally came into view. It turned out to be an ancient cannon buried under the seabed. To get that giant relic out, we quickly tied ropes around both sides of the cannon and filled the airbags with clean air. As the two of us lifted together, the huge object slowly rose up, just as we were about to move it onto the boat. Our teammate Lisa on the surface suddenly heard an alarm. The Coast Guard was coming for a routine inspection. The news terrified us underwater, because we knew if we brought the cannon up, the hidden treasure would be exposed too, and the authorities would take over everything. We might end up with nothing. To prevent that from happening, I quickly signaled my teammate to release some air, so the cannon would stay suspended underwater for now. But as he opened the valve, he accidentally released all the air. The cannon, weighing thousands of pounds, plummeted straight down out of control. His arm got tangled in the rope, and he was dragged down with it. When the cannon hit the seabed, it crushed his arm underneath. But the worst part was, our oxygen was running out. The girl picked up a rock and put it in the statue's eye socket. She never thought that this simple act would change her fate. Suddenly, an insect crawled out of the statue's mouth, which gave the girl a scare. As she watched the insect fly away, her mom called her to leave, but she didn't know that the insect was watching them from behind the tree. After the car drove off, the insect followed it. Late at night, the insect found the girl and turned into a fairy. The fairy took her into a maze, and then down the steps into an underground hole. She saw a creature with a goat's head. It called her princess and gave her a book, telling her that she had to complete 3 trials, then disappeared into the darkness. When she opened the book, there were no words in it. After getting home, she opened the book again. When her finger touched the paper, pictures started to appear. Following the instructions in the book, she walked to the wilderness and stopped in front of a tree. She took out a gem from her pocket, bent down and started to dig. Despite the mud, she wasn't afraid at all. At the end of the digging, she found a huge toad sitting there. The toad stuck out its tongue and swallowed the gem in her hand. Then it spat out a ball, which deflated right away. The girl picked up the ball, and there was the key to the second trial hidden inside.
A terrifying headless monster emerged from the depths of the water and began wandering through the city streets. His steps were shaky because without eyes he could not see anything, and soon he crashed into a pole. Just then, a strange little round bun-like head appeared before him. Laughing, it offered to become his head and guide him, but the headless king arrogantly rejected the offer. Fate, however, played its hand. He stumbled into a manhole the very next moment and was forced to accept the bun as his head. When they came back up, their eyes fell on a motorcycle. Without thinking, they tried to steal it right in front of the owner. The furious owner attacked them, but the bunhead knew kung fu. With lightning speed, he defeated the biker. Now riding the bike, the two set off to search for the king's real head. In truth, the immortal king had lost his head while fighting an evil knight. During the battle, his head flew off and landed in a woman's grocery bag. The woman, distracted on her phone, didn't notice, but once home, her child pulled the head out of the bag. As soon as the head started talking, the boy panicked and threw it away. The terrified mother picked it up, dropped it in the trash, and was about to throw it outside when the king and the bunhead arrived at her door on the bike. If a head suddenly started talking in front of you, what would you do?
When Jack was leaving for work, he suddenly discovered that his daughter had eaten 10 pieces of braised fish early in the morning. This made him realize that something was wrong. In his memory, his daughter had never liked fish since she was a child. At that moment, the grandmother who was cooking also noticed something unusual. She took Jack by the hand and led him outside, saying that her granddaughter had been acting strangely since she woke up, asking her to stew fish for breakfast. At first, Jack thought it was just his daughter being picky, so he didn't think much of it. But when he came home from work that evening, he found that his daughter seemed like a completely different person. He simply asked her if she had done her homework. His daughter immediately started cursing at him with a grimace.
도대체가 무엇이 중요냐고. 무엇이 그게 중요냐고!
To verify his suspicions, Jack quietly entered his daughter's room while she was sound asleep at night. He pulled back the blanket covering her body and began to examine her legs slowly. Sure enough, he discovered numerous pus-filled blisters on her legs. However, just as he was puzzled by this, his daughter suddenly woke up from her sleep and mistook Jack for a bad person. Faced with his daughter's accusations, Jack didn't know how to respond, but the next moment, his daughter became even more agitated. This scene startled Jack. At that moment, he suspected that Anil, his daughter, had been possessed by an evil spirit. To ensure his daughter's safety, the next morning, Jack immediately summoned a shaman. Sure enough, as soon as the shaman glanced at the table inside the house, he immediately sensed something was amiss. He then walked into the courtyard and began whistling. Shaman saw the 3 large jars outside the courtyard. He immediately sensed that something was seriously wrong.
The teenage boy, just woken up, made his mother blush with embarrassment on the way to school, facing a beautiful girl approaching him. The boy could only hug his backpack tightly to cover himself. An older woman next to him even told him to give his seat to the girl. Unaware of his body's unusual reactions, he was about to explode. During gym class at school, the youthful beauty of the female students made Timothy furious again. Seeing the girl he secretly admired walk onto the field, Timothy could not hold back anymore. He immediately stood up. Watching his classmates take commemorative photos, laughing and chatting, Timothy was so embarrassed he wanted to disappear. He quickly covered himself and ran off the field. But unexpectedly, after school, a group of girls stared enviously at the guy. His close friends next to him also said enviously, "Hey, we are really jealous of you." It is not funny. Come on, look at the envious eyes of all the girls in school. They're all about to cry from envy. Shut up. Next, at the corner, the beauty queen stops Timothy and invites him to her house to fix her computer. "Can you come to my place?" "I mean, to fix the computer. Ask your boyfriend." "I do not have a boyfriend." Timothy, thinking there was something going on, followed the beauty queen home, but unexpectedly, the beauty queen's computer had a problem. It turns out, her ex-boyfriend leaked her sensitive photos online. She wants Timothy to help her delete them, thinking since I am already here, I might as well make a quick profit for myself. He took photos of the girl to admire at home. But as soon as the beauty queen came back to check on his progress, she turned around and found Timothy looking up expectantly. Looking at each other like this is considered a return gift. But at this point, the beauty queen had not taken a liking to Timothy yet. She even frankly said that she only saw him as a tool. She was not interested in poor people. Timothy was deeply shocked. He went home in a gloomy mood. After learning about his brother's difficult situation, his brother Christopher decided to take him to earn some money. So the two brothers took their axes to an abandoned building. These two idiots want to cut power cables to sell for money. We just need to cut a few sections and sell them to have money to spend. You stand here to increase the success rate and finish with just one axe swing. He told Timothy to step on the power cable. 2. Once you start, you have to be cool. These two brothers are quite lucky. Aside from smelling a bit burnt, there is nothing to worry about. And the building security also heard the commotion and ran over. Stop right there. Let us go. Quickly. The security guard raised his gun and shot at the two of them. With his 20 years of experience, this is the first time I have met such a foolish thief. At this moment, the three of them were chasing each other. Even with wings, it would be hard for you to escape. I thought their plan to make money this time would fail. But Timothy, who was running ahead, slipped. Timothy, are you okay? Are you still alive? Luckily, there was a pile of wooden crates below. Timothy is fine. This place looks like a secret warehouse. Curious, Timothy opened the wooden crate to see what was inside. But the next second, he was frozen with fear. Christopher, what is it? Come here. What is it? The box was full of AKs. They never expected to stumble upon an arms depot. At this moment, Both were terrified. They just wanted to escape quickly, but as they say, the bigger the risk, the greater the reward. The two brothers decided to go for a big score. Why not sell these weapons? After all, they had been dirt poor since childhood. If he seizes this opportunity now, Timothy can buy a Porsche to pursue his first love. Christopher can also hold his head high after more than 20 years of bowing down. The two of them went back to get a motorcycle and transported the weapons and hid them under the school auditorium, but the weapons have already been brought back. Now selling them is another problem. But just as Christopher was racking his brain, then I saw Timothy taking pictures of weapons. Timothy's mind was still sharper. He intended to sell this batch of guns on the dark web, but Christopher thought this way of making money was slow. He planned to rob directly with the guns. Let go, let me go. What are you doing? Luckily, Timothy stopped this idiot.
I bit down on the tag of a bra. In that instant, the school beauty suddenly let out a scream of pain, immediately realized something was wrong and bolted out of the classroom in a panic. But then something strange happened. Face suddenly. That's when I understood. I had awakened a strange power. As long as I bit something that belonged to someone, I could pull them into my world and force them to feel everything I felt. Even more shocking, I discovered I had also gained a healing. No matter what kind of injury I suffered, my wounds would heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even when I burned my own palm with a lighter, I felt nothing. That morning, I was riding my bike to school as usual, but suddenly Tony stepped in front of me, blocking the road. It was the guy who always bullied me. I lowered my head and tried to greet him politely, but he wasn't about to let me go. Without a word, he slammed his fist at me. But this time, I wasn't the same. As his punches kept landing, something strange happened. The pain didn't reach me at all. Instead, it bounced back onto Tony himself. I didn't even lift a finger. Frustrated and furious, Tony grabbed his stick from the ground and swung it hard at my head. But in the next second, it was his own head that split open, blood streaming down. I stood there without a single scratch. Tony looked at me as if I were a monster, then turned and ran. I called out behind him, a grin. Come again anytime!
Every night, the boy made sure to take a capsule before going to sleep. But one night, when he held the capsule in his hand, he noticed something moving inside. Out of curiosity, he cut it open with a knife and was shocked to see a tiny insect within. The next day, that same creature had grown to 5 centimeters in length. Terrified, he rushed to his biology teacher for help. The teacher carefully examined it and revealed that it was not an insect at all, but a nearly extinct fungus. When asked where it came from, the boy hid the truth and lied, saying he had found it in a moldy jar in the basement. But the teacher insisted that this kind of fungus only grows on corpses. Hearing this, the boy became even more disturbed. One of his classmates then searched the internet and discovered that this fungus had once been widely used in witchcraft to communicate with demons and spirits. In the present day, however, it was believed to be almost entirely extinct. The boy was left confused and unsettled, especially because the capsules were manufactured in his father's pharmaceutical factory, an environment so sterile that the presence of such a fungus should have been impossible. But when he remembered that his twin sister was also taking the same capsules, and that her behavior had recently become very strange, his suspicion grew deeper. Finally, they went to another professor. The moment he saw the creature, his face froze in disbelief and shock. Is there a human conspiracy behind these capsules or something supernatural at play?
I found a job paying $1 million a month. The job was to take care of a wealthy family's youngest son. But when I first saw the child, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. It was clearly an exquisite porcelain doll. Rich people's thinking is truly impossible to figure out. Suddenly I noticed they were staring at me seriously. That's when I realized I might have offended them. So I quickly stepped forward to greet him. I hope we can become good friends. Then the lady of the house solemnly explained the important points for caring for the boy. I needed to wake him up on time every day, then change his clothes. Besides preparing 3 meals a day, I also had to tell him stories every day. Although it seemed absurd, thinking about the generous salary, I could only do as they said. But what the old man said next was even more absurd. He said, "I always feel like my son is still here, even though he's been gone for a long time." At the time, I didn't quite understand what he meant. That evening, I vaguely saw the couple talking to the doll in low voices. They seemed to be discussing something. The old man spotted me standing outside the door and immediately shut it. These strange behaviors gave me the creeps. The lady then came out. She said to me earnestly, "Our son really likes you, and we hope you'll stay to take care of him." Just like that, I officially became the doll's nanny. Little did I know, bizarre events were about to unfold one after another.
I was cleaning out the villa I inherited from my grandfather when I discovered an old, worn-out coffin in the basement. As I got closer, I noticed it gave off a strange but pleasant scent. I assumed the coffin had to be some kind of antique. I dragged it back to the living room and carefully cleaned off the dust. Just as I was about to lift the padding and check the compartment underneath, I was stunned by what I saw. The inside of the coffin was packed with ancient gears. This only convinced me more that the coffin was valuable. I called my mechanically skilled friend to help me investigate. He found a winding key made of pure gold among the gears. He cautiously inserted it into a nearby hole and gave it a few turns. To our surprise, the gears inside the coffin began to move again. Curious about the coffin's true purpose, I decided to put my pet goldfish inside. Then I wound the key a full 100 times. As the gears turned red, lightning shot toward the goldfish in the center. But the goldfish didn't seem too affected. I searched for answers in an old book we found in the coffin, but the ancient, unfamiliar language was completely incomprehensible. Just then, my friend noticed the goldfish had stopped moving. We both thought the lightning had killed it. But when the winding key finished its last rotation, the goldfish suddenly came back to life. I decided to ask my brother, a university professor, for help. My brother combed through the entire library and finally found a clue. The coffin was apparently built by an ancient pharaoh to put himself into a temporary death-like state, but no one had ever figured out exactly how it worked. Boldly, I climbed into the coffin myself to test it out. My friend stood by with a video camera, recording the whole thing. As my brother wound the key tightly, red lightning surged toward me, and I instantly lost consciousness. My brother was thrown into a panic. Meanwhile, I looked in shock at my own body. I tried to touch my friend, but my arm passed right through him. Just as they were about to call for help, I suddenly sat up from the coffin. I described my experience of becoming a spirit. After 2 hours of mental preparation, my brother climbed into the coffin too. This time we wound the key 200 times. My brother's soul left his body. After glancing at himself lying still in the coffin, he phased through the wall and left the room. He kept walking in one direction, trying to test how far his soul could go from his body. Before he knew it, he had reached a train track. The sight of an oncoming train made him scream in terror. The next moment, his soul snapped back into his body. When it was my friend's turn, his disabled legs miraculously worked while in spirit form. He walked through a wall and happened to see the girl he liked arguing with her boyfriend. He looked at her with pain in his heart, wanting to wipe away her tears. But just then, the winding key reached its final turn, and his spirit slowly faded into the air. After taking turns with the experience, the three of us shared what we had gone through, but my brother warned the others not to try it again, since we still didn't know if the coffin had any side effects. But excited, I ignored the warning completely. As soon as my brother and friend left, I eagerly climbed back into the coffin. This time, I wound the key 500 times on my own. My spirit headed straight to the convenience store where I work. Meanwhile, the store owner was happily counting the day's earnings. Once everything checked out, the owner walked over to the safe to stash the cash. He never suspected the password had already been memorized by the invisible me standing right beside him.
During a routine autopsy, the examiner made a disturbing discovery. He pulled a strange capsule out of the dead woman's brain. Driven by curiosity, he twisted it open. Inside was a tiny rolled-up note, way too small to read by eye. He slid it under a microscope. What he saw made his hands go cold. His daughter's name, and her phone number. He stared at it, frozen. This body belonged to a woman in her 50s, a complete stranger. There was no way his daughter could be involved. At least, that's what he thought. He copied the number, trying not to panic, then locked himself in the restroom to make the call. His fingers trembled as he typed it in. The name on the screen, his daughter. The phone slipped from his hand. His mind went blank. He didn't know what was going on, but he had to find out. So he hit the call button.
The woman secretly installed a camera at home. She wanted to catch her husband cheating. In the video, her husband and daughter looked happy together. Just then, Liam's voice came from right beside her. Ella froze. She looked at the footage again. The video was still playing. Her face turned pale with fear. She rushed out of the house in panic. On the way, she called the nanny. She told her to check on her daughter immediately. Ella hurried back home. She ran straight into her daughter's room. The little girl was already asleep. Ella confronted Liam. She demanded to know why he had left their daughter alone at home.
아니 당신이 나한테 문자했잖아. 아주머니 불렀으니까 당장 지금 회사로 오라고. 아냐?
That only made her more uneasy. Suddenly, she remembered Liam had a twin brother named Brian. Maybe Brian was behind all this, but Liam said he hadn't spoken to his brother in 30 years. To him, Brian was practically a stranger. Still uneasy, Ella hired a private investigator to track Brian down. Before long, the investigator found Brian's address. Ella went to the house, but it had been abandoned for years. Just then, she got a call from her daughter. The daughter is crying, saying she's very unwell. When she rushed home, Liam had already taken their daughter to the hospital. Liam said the girl could sense that something was wrong between her parents. Lately, she just wanted to stay close to her mom. Hearing that filled Ella with guilt. The pressure became unbearable. Her bipolar disorder flared up again. She threw a glass to the floor. It shattered into pieces. She hit her own head, trying to calm herself down. The next day, Ella installed security cameras all over the house. She said it was to protect their daughter. Liam was furious when he saw them. He said Ella's behavior was suffocating him. Around the same time, The private investigator called with new information. Brian was living in a nursing home. Ella rushed there immediately, but the staff told her Brian had died a year ago. His funeral had been arranged by his brother Liam. Ella's mind went blank. She watched the surveillance footage again and again. Then she noticed something strange. Her daughter's dress was missing a bow. But in the video, there were two. The footage was fake. There had never been a Brian. From beginning to end, it was all part of Liam's elaborate lie. Ella's whole body began to tremble.
The man put on his diving suit and jumped into the ocean. After diving 1,500 meters, he entered the habitat of humpback whales. At that moment, the whales were asleep. Their bodies were hanging upside down in the water. Jack carefully approached one of the whales. He attached a small video recorder to its body. Right then, the whole group of whales suddenly woke up. They made loud sounds. They kept moving their bodies and swam toward the surface. Jack instantly realized how dangerous this was. If any whale bumped into him, he could lose his life. Jack quickly dropped the weights on his belt. He swam up as fast as he could along with the whales. Luckily, the whales didn't notice him. In the end, Jack made it back to the yacht safely. Soon he received the signal from the recorder. Jack took the footage back to the lab to study. At first, the whales' movements looked totally normal, but when they reached a certain area, the whole group suddenly dove down. They quickly passed 5,000 meters. This was a depth whales had never reached before. Their strange behavior caught the attention of scientists. As the whales kept diving, scientists found that they went as deep as 15,000 meters. That was far beyond the deepest point humans had ever explored. Down in the pitch-black ocean, small lights started to appear. The lights lined up neatly. From a distance, they looked like traces of a human city. Sadly, the recorder only captured this part before the whale shook it off. But this strange sight sparked heated discussion among scientists. Some believed it might be a secret military experiment. After all, the military sometimes trains sea creatures to clear mines. But Jack didn't think so. Recently, too many strange things had been happening in the ocean. Whales that usually lived peacefully with humans suddenly started attacking people. A humpback whale even sank a sightseeing boat. Soon after, killer whales began hunting humans. That attack killed more than 100 people, and sea creatures kept invading human areas. One small town was taken over by
Scientists use an atomic magnetic net to trap the soul of a deceased old man, hoping to prove the existence of God.
What happened?
What is it? There. Right there.
What do you see?
He's standing there. You don't see it? No, what is that to see?
There's nothing there, Will.
Strangely, it seems that only the Holloway can see this scene. To everyone else, there is only a corpse inside. At this moment, the old man's soul begins to grow restless, constantly jumping up and down, as if he is terrified of something.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He's trapped. You've trapped him. You have to let him go. You're tormenting him.
He even keeps asking the Holloway for help. In the next second, the old man seems to see that terrifying thing, and immediately curls up in the corner, trembling with fear. At the same time, the instruments suddenly show that an unknown force is trying to break through the magnetic net. Everyone speculates that it might be God coming to take the old man, but only the Holloway knows that it is not God. It is something the old man is extremely afraid of. Just then, the unknown force on the instrument breaks through the magnetic net to save the old man's soul. The Holloway ignores the pleas of her colleagues and forcefully shuts down the main power switch. As the power suddenly goes out, a white light appears above the old man's head. He happily reaches out to welcome it, and in the next second, at this point, the power returns to normal, and all the equipment restarts. The scientists are shocked to find that a mysterious force still exists in the experimental chamber, trying to break out of the magnetic net. Although they can't see anything unusual in the chamber, the scientists can sense that something terrifying is trapped inside. The Holloway also sees a horrifying sight.
Dr. Holloway, do you see anything in there?
Seeing that the Holloway is not responding, the scientist asks her again.
Tell me, is there anything in there?
As the Holloway slowly approaches, the unknown creature inside makes a gesture to her.
No. There's nothing in there. Go ahead, open it.
This woman came hiking alone, but just as she was about to leave, she found her car door blocked by the vehicle beside her. A man got out and asked if she needed help. Strangely, though the weather was clear, he was holding an umbrella. He knocked her unconscious and bound her hands and feet. When Lisa awoke, she realized she'd encountered a villain, but now she was already tied up. Lisa tried signaling for help with her watch,
but there is no red dot.
She didn't know why the man had kidnapped her. All she wanted now was to escape. Fortunately, she had a small knife in her pocket. She carefully cut through the restraints, sprang up, and lunged at him. Lisa stabbed at him with the knife. but it posed no threat to Nick. He merely glanced at his watch. It turned out he'd injected her with a paralyzing agent. Soon she'd lose all mobility. Within a minute, Lisa would feel unwell. 10 minutes later, her limbs would go numb. 15 minutes in, her legs would lose sensation. By 20 minutes, she'd be unable to speak. Finally, she'd lose all ability to move. Lisa panicked instantly. She didn't know if Nick was telling the truth. The only thing Lisa could do was run. Yet the dreaded thing still happened. Before long, her fingers began to go numb. Seeing Nick closing in, Lisa could only quicken her pace, but the time left for her was running out. To survive, she had to escape the forest within 20 minutes. As time ticked away, one of Lisa's legs went numb. With Nick closing in, she hid beneath a tree hollow, but terror struck again. Her body swarmed with ants, frenetically gnawing at her wounds. Lisa screamed in agony, unable to hold back her pain. Lisa refused to give up. Dragging her body, she rolled into the river. Nick could only watch his prey vanish. Lisa was swept downstream. After an unknown amount of time, she washed ashore. She had only 2 minutes left. Breathing was extremely difficult. By the time the 20-minute countdown ended, Lisa had completely lost the ability to move. Nick hadn't followed her. Instead, an old man appeared. Charlie rushed over to check on her, but received no response. When Charlie turned Lisa over, he discovered something strange. Though unable to move or speak, her mind seemed fully alert. She could even blink her eyes.
Are you able to move at all? You can see, you can hear, can't move, can't talk, am I right? Are you hurt?
Lisa could only respond this way. Charlie realized the woman was in danger. He used a cart to move Lisa into the cabin, but just as Charlie was about to ask for details, a sudden knock sounded at the door.
I was in a car accident. I can't find my wife. I don't know where she is. Whoa, slow down there. Take a breath.
Have you seen her? She's 5'6". She's pretty. I'm bleeding.
Sit tight. I'll get you some help.
Charlie sensed something was off. He wasn't sure if the man was telling the truth, but just as he was about to call the police, Nick burst in. Seeing Nick had no intention of leaving, Charlie prepared to dial 911. Nick, noticing this, began his act. He wailed about his misfortune, trying to win Charlie's sympathy, coaxing him into revealing Lisa's whereabouts. Little did he know, Lisa was lying beneath the seat at that very moment. Ultimately, Charlie was moved by Nick's story, but just as he was about to reveal the truth.
You said you lost your phone.
Did I? I'm still a bit out of it.
Well, those woods were a big place. Better get to looking.
No. What'd you have to tell me?
Nothing.
Thankfully, Charlie reacted quickly, and didn't mention Lisa, but just as Nick was preparing to leave,
While clearing out the roots of a tree in his yard, the man accidentally uncovered a small humanoid statue buried beneath them. As he brushed away the dirt, the figure's head began to gleam faintly with a golden shine. His breathing grew faster, a mix of unease and excitement flashing in his eyes. He had no idea what it was, but deep down, he could feel that this thing might change his life forever. Charlie hurriedly carried the statue into the house and rinsed it clean with water. The head turned out to be gold-plated. He hid it deep in the storage shed, unable to sleep that night. One thought kept circling in his mind. How much could this be worth? The next day, Charlie arranged to meet his close friend Michael in secret. He showed him a photo of the statue on his phone. Michael's breathing quickened, his voice lowering as he asked if the statue was made of solid gold. Charlie shook his head, saying it was only gold-plated, but as an ancient artifact, it could be just as valuable. Michael's excitement was impossible to hide. He clapped Charlie on the shoulder, laughing as he urged him to find a buyer fast. Still, he couldn't help but ask where Charlie had found it. Charlie hesitated, then replied coolly, "That doesn't matter." Michael frowned, sensing that Charlie was hiding something. Pressed for an answer, Charlie made up a story. He said he'd found it while wandering in the mountains, completely by chance. Michael's expression relaxed instantly, and his tone turned eager. He said he had connections, people who specialized in acquiring items like this. But he also added a condition. He wanted a cut. Charlie paused for a few seconds, then nodded. Michael promised he'd have news soon. On the way home, Charlie sped down the road on his motorcycle, wind roaring past his ears. He tilted his head back and let out.
The old lady came to the lakeside to relax. Suddenly she saw a girl with her hands tied, being chased by a man. Sensing something was wrong, she hurriedly took out her phone to call the police. But there was no signal at this remote lakeside. Watching the young girl being dragged away, the old lady couldn't bear to ignore it, and immediately followed to investigate. Seeing the man return to the cabin alone, she seized the chance to search for the girl near the cabin. While looking around, a sudden scream came from the basement. She tore open the window screen and finally saw the kidnapped girl. Just then a car engine sound approached. The man's wife had returned. Judging by her expression, she was clearly no good person either. So the old lady wrote, "I won't leave" on the window, then hurried back to her car. She pulled off the tarpaulin covering it, revealing a simple prefabricated cabin inside. Meanwhile, the woman who just arrived home noticed a red glove at the door. Her face suddenly changed as she realized something. She rushed to the basement window and saw the words the old lady had written. Then she discovered a trail of footprints. The alert woman immediately became furious. She turned and rushed inside to confront her husband. The man then remembered he might have seen an old woman nearby. The woman flew into a rage, grabbed a gun and stormed out. The man tried to argue that the old lady might just be passing by.
Where are we going?
To tidy up your fucking mess.
Soon the couple spotted the prefab cabin by the lake. Thinking the old lady was inside, the woman raised her gun and approached step by step. But this was exactly the trap set by the old lady. After seeing the man fall through the ice, the old lady immediately returned to the cabin. Just as she was about to rescue the girl, she found the girl's hands locked in chains. Since the chains couldn't be opened quickly, the old lady decided to create some difficulties for the couple to buy time.
No. I'm not leaving you, sweetie. I'm not leaving you. A promise is a promise. I'm just gonna find something to get you out of those cuffs. You just hang tight now.
The old lady came up with a plan. She first used icy water to put out all the fires in the cabin, then soaked all the thick clothes and quilts in icy water. She wanted to leave the man who just climbed out of the icy water with no dry clothes to change into. But as soon as she stepped out, she ran into the returning kidnapper couple. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and didn't let the kidnappers harm her. Taking advantage of the moment when they reloaded, she turned and dashed into the forest. This time hitting her wouldn't be so easy. The kidnapper couple returned to the cabin. All their warming items were soaked and ruined by the icy water. Seeing the man was about to suffer from hypothermia, they could only hide in the car and rely on the heater. Witnessing all this, the old lady seized the chance to quickly return to the cabin. To her surprise, the kidnapped girl was gone, with no other choice. The old lady rushed out of the cabin. She broke into the kidnapper's other car, used the radio inside to call the police. She calmly explained her situation and location. They said they would arrive immediately, but unexpectedly, seeing the pistol, the man finally caved. He fearfully claimed his wife forced him to do everything, and that he was actually a good person.
And go to the hospital. I'm hypothermic. I'm not helping her.
The old lady looked at the defenseless man. She told him if he truly regretted his actions, he should drive to the nearest town to report to the police, then go to the hospital for his injuries. The man immediately obeyed. Before leaving, he tremblingly gave the old lady his last few bullets. Perhaps he really was forced into this, but the old lady never expected. Shortly after driving away, the man ran into his returning wife. He seemed truly afraid of her. As the woman got out of the car with her gun, he immediately confessed everything that just happened. Meanwhile, the old lady returned to the lakeside again. She set fire to the recently wrecked car, using the towering flames and explosion to guide the rescuers to their location.
Scientists use an atomic magnetic net to trap the soul of a deceased old man, hoping to prove the existence of God.
What happened?
What is it? There. Right there.
What do you see?
He's standing there. You don't see it?
No, what does that say?
There's nothing there, Will.
Strangely, it seems that only the Holloway can see this scene. To everyone else, there is only a corpse inside. At this moment, the old man's soul begins to grow restless, constantly jumping up and down, as if he is terrified of something.
Oh my god. Oh my god. He's trapped. You've trapped him. You have to let him go. You're tormenting him.
He even keeps asking the Holloway for help. In the next second, the old man seems to see that terrifying thing, and immediately curls up in the corner, trembling with fear. At the same time, the instruments suddenly show that an unknown force is trying to break through the magnetic net. Everyone speculates that it might be God coming to take the old man, but only the Holloway knows that it is not God. It is something the old man is extremely afraid of. Just then, the unknown force on the instrument breaks through the magnetic net to save the old man's soul. The Holloway ignores the pleas of her colleagues and forcefully shuts down the main power switch. As the power suddenly goes out, a white light appears above the old man's head. He happily reaches out to welcome it, and in the next second, at this point, the power returns to normal, and all the equipment restarts. The scientists are shocked to find that a mysterious force still exists in the experimental chamber, trying to break out of the magnetic net. Although they can't see anything unusual in the chamber, the scientists can sense that something terrifying is trapped inside. The Holloway also sees a horrifying sight.
Dr. Holloway,
Do you see anything in there?
Seeing that the Holloway is not responding, the scientist asks her again.
Tell me, is there anything in there?
As the Holloway slowly approaches, the unknown creature inside makes a gesture to her.
No. There's nothing in there. Go ahead, open it.
The man suddenly discovered an easy way to make money. All he had to do was pretend to be blind. Not only could he sit at the temple gate and beg openly, earning 3 times what others made, but kind-hearted people would even help him cross the street. He could even live rent-free in government-provided housing. Yet this wasn't the limit of his schemes. He also used his identity as a pianist to play in people's homes, because no one would suspect a blind man. Thus, he often spied on the private lives of many female homeowners. Little did he know that feigning blindness would become his greatest regret. One day, as usual, he went to perform for the wife of a wealthy man celebrating her birthday. Yet when the door opened, the woman seemed reluctant to let him in, claiming he might have mistaken the time, but Carl had already received the wealthy man's deposit. With a final payment due after the performance, he was certain he hadn't misremembered. As they argued, the commotion drew the attention of the elderly neighbor. The woman, seemingly unwilling to attract the neighbor's notice, had no choice but to let him in. After confirming Carl was genuinely blind, she finally allowed him to play the piano. Yet, barely had he begun, when he was startled by the scene before him. A corpse lay sprawled in the living room. Carl finally understood why the woman had been reluctant to let him in, but now he couldn't show his panic. He made an excuse to use the restroom, passing through the living room. To appear more convincingly blind, Carl deliberately stepped in the spilled red wine. He thought the restroom might calm him, but it turned out to be the most terrifying place. The killer was hiding behind him, gun in hand. Carl froze, afraid to breathe, fearing any slip-up would seal his fate. Fortunately, his bladder was sufficiently full to avoid arousing suspicion. Only upon returning through the living room did Carl recognize the body as the wealthy man himself, though terror gripped his heart. He forced himself to continue playing the piano with feigned composure. Meanwhile, the woman beside him pretended to contact the tycoon, claiming he'd arrive in 10 minutes. Then, right in front of Carl, they brazenly began disposing of the body. Before long, the man stuffed the corpse into a suitcase, preparing to haul it away and destroy all evidence. The tycoon's wife, Sego, deliberately walked to the doorway to create the illusion of welcoming him home. Sego then played a recording of the tycoon's voice, pretending to converse with her husband before Carl, but after a few sentences, she claimed he had urgent business to attend to. The man donned the tycoon's clothes, dragged the suitcase, and left the house. After exiting the residence, Carl didn't return home. Instead, he sat by the roadside, debating whether to call the police. For the tycoon wasn't just a well-respected local figure, but also a generous patron who always tipped Carl lavishly whenever he visited the bar where Carl performed. Never in his wildest dreams did Carl imagine that the man he'd chatted with yesterday would be murdered by his own wife today. Perhaps it was fate pointing him in the right direction. A remark from the lottery lady nearby sealed his resolve.
काम करो ना, जरा किसी भी एक टिकट पे हाथ रख दो ना, सुना अंधे के साथ भगवान होता है.
After selecting his lottery numbers, Carl made up his mind to head to the police station to seek justice for the tycoon. The man cut off a piece of a starfish's tentacle and took out some flesh. He placed it into a special solution to separate it and got the starfish's regeneration gene. Then he found a green gene in a jellyfish that could bring life back to dead cells. Next, he extracted liquid from a sea cucumber that could harden the skin. Through many experiments, the man finally created a super serum. He immediately injected it into himself. But in the days that followed, nothing strange happened to him. Instead, his wife became pregnant. After their son was born, the man noticed that every time the baby cried, his body would turn green. He tested the boy's genes and found that his son had monster genes, so he wanted to kill him, but his wife tried hard to stop him. In the end, the man accidentally killed his wife. The boy grew up and became a scientist. One day, a co-worker was fixing the gamma ray machine, but it caused a short circuit by mistake. The machine turned on. At the same time, nanoorganisms in the lab were released. The man was also hit by the radiation, but he was not hurt. Suddenly, childhood memories returned. The painful memories made the man extremely angry. In the next second, he turned into the Hulk.
I only said break up. The next second, sharp pain engulfed me instantly. My girlfriend had cut off my legs and chained me tightly in the basement. Mary said she'd take care of me for the rest of my life. I knew she was crazy, but every time I tried to struggle, my wounds would tear open, and the agony left me unable to think. Every day, Mary fed me on a fixed schedule. At first, she'd coax me patiently, but if I showed the slightest resistance, her tenderness would turn to violence. I had no idea when this nightmare would end. Gradually, my injuries began to heal. Mary was overjoyed by this. I'd smile and praise her cooking. She'd ask what I wanted to eat each day. We looked just like an ordinary couple. During dinner, I suggested feeding myself, saying it would feel more like a real couple. But things were clearly not that simple. She untied the ropes around my hands, only to chain me to a wooden stake to prevent me from escaping. I knew I had to seize this chance, so while eating I tentatively offered to brush her hair. Mary didn't refuse. She got lost in this long-absent tenderness, completely unaware that I was quietly pulling out a few strands of her hair as I brushed. Every day after that, I secretly collected the hair, twisting it into thin strings when she wasn't looking, then braiding those strings into a long rope. My escape weapon was finally ready. As soon as Mary left, I sprang into action, swinging the rope repeatedly to hook the screwdriver in the toolbox. My wounds kept tearing, but I dared not stop. Finally, the rope caught the screwdriver. I held my breath and pulled it back carefully. Gritting my teeth, I bent down and started unscrewing the restraints on my thighs. When the last screw came loose, I felt a long-lost sense of freedom, even if it was maimed and painful. I inched forward with my arms, every movement feeling like a bet with my life. I finally crawled from the basement to the first floor, but the sight before me froze me completely. The living room was filled with statues, and they looked exactly like me. I forced myself to stay calm and scrambled toward the door with all my strength, only to find a combination lock above the doorknob. I endured the pain and tried to open it, but just as the door was about to open, she came back. Despair engulfed me entirely. I know I sit and never escape.
The caretaker drops a spoonful of liquor into the man's eyes, then rubs them with her hands. She's doing this to test whether Jack is really blind. Every night, she always feels someone watching her from behind, because someone poked a hole through the paper on her door, and there are breathing sounds outside the door. But when she opens the door, there's nothing there. But only she and blind Jack live in this house, so she suspects Jack is faking his blindness and spying on her while she sleeps. However, when the liquor drips into Jack's eyes, he doesn't show any discomfort. So Lisa deliberately guides Jack in the wrong direction. She even puts a floral jacket on Jack and purposely pulls out a knife right in front of him. But none of these methods work. Jack appears to be blind, which means he couldn't possibly be the one spying. But then what's up with the holes in her door? To solve this mystery, Lisa turns to a priest for help. After hearing her story, the priest firmly tells her, Jack has been blind for decades. He couldn't possibly do something like that. He thinks Lisa is being too paranoid and tells her not to overthink it. But that night when Lisa returns, she hears sounds outside her door again, and there's another new hole in her door. Lisa grabs her dagger and quietly creeps up to the hole. After watching carefully for a moment, she opens the door, but there's still nothing there. Could this really all be in her head? Days go by. The holes in Lisa's door keep multiplying. Her face grows paler and paler. She tests Jack with different methods every single day, but she can't find a single flaw in him. This whole thing makes Lisa too afraid to sleep at night. She keeps her eyes fixed on the door. The second she hears any movement outside, she opens the door with her dagger in hand. After seeing no one there, she quickly shuts the door again. But when she turns around, she finds Jack lying on her bed. Lisa's whole body trembles with fear. She thinks she's hallucinating. When she opens her eyes again, Jack has vanished. But right then, sounds come from outside the door once more.
The men of the future world are on the verge of extinction. In order to solve the problem of female singles, scientists have developed a seed that can grow a boyfriend. Anna, who couldn't find a boyfriend, went to the drugstore. She decided to pay a lot of money to buy one and try it out. She went home and moved the barrel to a sunny place. She carefully buried the seed in the soil. Then she watered it. At night, Anna was awakened by a strange noise. She turned on the light. The seeds she had planted during the day had begun to sprout. Surprised, she poured another pot of water on it. The next morning, half a head emerged directly from the barrel. The man was looking at the world with curiosity. Anna scrutinized his appearance. She was satisfied. To make him grow faster, she fed him food with nutrients. But he was like a rebellious child. He wouldn't eat properly. So Anna took him to a fancy restaurant for dinner, and ordered him a glass of juice. While Anna was enjoying the company of her boyfriend, the man was bored and blew bubbles. This made Anna feel embarrassed. She got angry and took him out of the restaurant. Soon, the man grew an upper body. Anna was overjoyed. She gently wiped the dirt off the man's hands, but the man rudely grabbed the towel and wiped himself. He threw the towel on the floor. Anna wanted to ease their relationship. She prepared a candlelight dinner, but the man was not interested. He drank grape juice alone. Anna turned around and left in disappointment. Later that night, she was awakened by a coughing fit. She saw the man curled up and shivering. He had a fever. Anna closed the window. Then she dug out her plant manual and sprayed him with a special potion. After one night, her boyfriend had miraculously grown into a man. Excited, Anna rushed to take out her wedding dress, but just as she went to change her clothes with high hopes, the man desperately pulled his feet out of the mud. He took the clothes and fled. By the time Anna reacted, the man had already disappeared. She ran downstairs to chase him, but how could she find a man who deliberately ran away in the middle of a crowd?
Anna realized that she had met a bad man. Saddened, she went to the drugstore again to buy a seed. This time she was determined to grow the perfect boyfriend.
The man applied ointment all over the woman's body, and then completely wrapped her up with gauze. But when the man pulled out the knife, the woman refused to cooperate with the work. She got up and was about to leave, but she didn't notice the man behind her at all. With a hammer sound, he cut off all the woman's hair, and tightly wrapped her in gauze. After waiting for a night, the woman's body fragrance would be completely absorbed by the oil. Then he carefully scraped off all the oil with a scraper, with the aim of extracting the woman's body fragrance. The man put the oil into the extraction device for distillation and evaporation, and eventually a drop of perfume was born. When he dropped the perfume in the palm of his hand, the dog immediately smelled its owner's scent and ran towards the man, frantically licking his fingers. Seeing this, the man gave a strange smile. An evil plan was thus born. He took out more bottles. The man's dream was to make the best perfume in the world, but it also meant that another 13 women would lose their lives. Then, strange murders began to occur in the town. All the girls with pure looks and intact bodies would be brutally killed. Soon, the man collected 12 bottles of liquid. As long as he found the last one, the legendary perfume would be completely completed.
The girl was thrown into the lake. She quickly grabbed onto the railing above. As soon as her foot touched the water, she felt an intense burning sensation. It was as if the lake water was boiling hot. The girl gripped the railing and flipped herself back onto solid ground. Her eyes burned with fury. She scanned the group of people who had been toying with her. Then, without a second thought, she hurriedly left the area. John had been watching everything closely. He quietly followed her. He noticed that the foot she had dipped into the water was already bruised and scratched. Soon after, the same group of strange classmates helped her away. It was clear now, the girl had been transformed. She was one of them. Once the classmates had left, John returned to the lake. He replayed in his mind the moment the girl had touched the water. A sudden realization hit him. These monsters feared the lake water. Any contact with it seemed to cause them harm. John quickly jotted this down in his investigation notebook. Then he remembered the suspicious doctor. After the girl had been treated by him, she had turned into one of the monsters. Could he be the leader of the ancient sealed creatures? Determined to find out, John took some of the lake water and went to the infirmary. He quietly poured the water into the doctor's bottle. But when the doctor drank it, nothing happened. John was baffled. Could it be that the doctor wasn't one of them? John knew he couldn't fight these monsters on his own. And with his classmates being transformed one by one, he needed help. He found his older classmate, Kurt, and shared everything he had discovered. Kurt was shocked by the news and listened intently.
My husband injected milk into the lottery balls to increase their weight. To avoid detection, I carefully sealed the needle holes with white glue. Finally, we deliberately left 6 balls without milk injection, so these 6 balls would be more easily blown up by the machine during the drawing. After completing all this preparation, I arrived at the lottery center entrance, ready for work. Shortly after, staff members wheeled the lottery machine into the office. Seeing this, I immediately started my car and crashed it into the building's glass doors. The tremendous noise instantly drew the security guards from the office. While the guards were distracted, my husband quickly slipped into the office where the lottery machine was stored, swiftly removed all the balls from the machine, and then poured our pre-prepared specially modified balls back into the lottery machine. He had just left the room when the head of security helped me to the makeup room. After all, both my husband and I were veteran employees of the lottery center. Soon, it was time for the drawing. Sure enough, all the winning numbers came from the balls we had tampered with. Just like that, we cleaned out the entire prize pool, a whopping $6.4 million. But the show wasn't over yet. To avoid leaving any evidence behind, we still had to switch those tampered balls back out. So after the head of security wheeled the lottery machine back to the office, I pretended to faint again, drawing the security away. Meanwhile, my husband seized the opportunity to swap out the rigged balls. At the end of the workday, I successfully received the bag containing the fake balls from my husband. I thought everything had gone perfectly, but unexpectedly, I twisted my ankle on the way home, and the balls scattered all over the ground. Fortunately, no one noticed, and I quickly gathered the balls back into the bag. Just as I was about to leave, the security guard at the entrance called out to me. Thankfully, he was just saying hello. Later, I burned all the balls to ashes, thinking the evidence had been completely destroyed. But we hadn't anticipated that in the darkness last night, I had actually missed one ball. Even more coincidentally, a colleague accidentally discovered it and became suspicious.
The girl took just one bite of her ice cream, and almost made the older woman beside her faint. It was as if the woman had seen something terrifying. When the girl took another bite, the woman screamed and ran out of the elevator. The girl was completely confused, not realizing something even stranger was happening. When she got home, her mother, busy cooking in the kitchen, heard the door close and went to check, but saw no one there. Puzzled, she asked her husband. He said she must have imagined it. Only then did the girl realize no one in her family could see her. Panicking, she ran to the bathroom mirror. But there was no reflection. At that moment, she finally understood why the woman in the elevator was so frightened. The woman had seen an ice cream floating in midair. Trembling, the girl pulled out her phone and called her boyfriend, trying to tell him what had happened. But no matter how loudly she screamed, he couldn't hear her voice. She was terrified, and the nightmare was only beginning. The next morning, when she brushed her teeth, the toothbrush moved on its own, her reflection still gone. When she put on her shoes, only the shoes were visible. On the bus, the driver couldn't see her, and accidentally closed the door on her. When she finally got inside, she still tapped her card to pay the fare. A little boy saw the card floating in midair and froze in fear. Though no one could see her, they could still feel her presence. To avoid scaring people, the girl moved carefully through the crowd, but still bumped into a man. He felt something brush past him, yet when he turned around, no one was there. The girl felt sad and helpless. Meanwhile, her boyfriend grew increasingly worried. He hadn't seen her in days and searched everywhere. One day, while looking around the neighborhood, he found her phone lying on a park bench. His heart sank. He feared something terrible had happened. Just then, a hand suddenly reached out and held his. It was her. She had been there all along, just invisible. She explained that she had a mysterious bracelet that could transform her into anything or anyone. But something had gone wrong. The bracelet had turned her invisible. The couple tried everything to break it, but nothing worked. Then, suddenly, the bracelet itself began to ring, as if making a phone call. On the other end was an old woman's voice. She told the girl to come to the old place. When they arrived, they met the woman, the bracelet's original owner. The girl returned the bracelet to her. Soon after the woman left, the girl's invisibility disappeared. For the first time in days, her boyfriend could finally see her again. In Japan, there's a rare and unusual job. Sleep in a house for one night, and you can earn $100,000. Sounds like easy money, right? But almost no one wants to do it. The job? A ghost cleaner. They move into homes where someone has recently died. If they stay there for a full week, the place is considered cleansed. Then, the landlord can sell or rent it out like any regular property. Anna is a professional ghost cleaner. She owns a spirit lamp, set it in the house, and if it starts flickering, that means a ghost is nearby. One night, the lamp began to flicker. Anna started searching the rooms. She opened the bathroom door, and sure enough, there was a ghost. A man. He stared right at Anna, surprised she could see him. That's because Anna has a rare gift. She can see spirits. The ghost tried to scare her, but Anna didn't flinch. She calmly shut the door. Then, right in front of the ghost, she started getting ready for bed. The ghost tried harder to scare her, but she didn't even blink. Why? Because she knew something important. Ghosts can't touch anything, not objects, not people. The next morning, Anna started drawing. She sketched the ghost's face, capturing both the spooky and silly side. It's her habit. She's loved drawing since she was a kid, and ever since becoming a ghost cleaner, she's been documenting every spirit she meets. The ghost was curious. Why would a girl like her choose this job? So Anna told him her story. When she was 5, her mom dropped her off at her grandmother's house, saying she'd come back soon, but she never did. Anna grew up believing her mom had abandoned her. She became quiet, withdrawn, and had no friends. Then, just after turning 18, her beloved grandmother passed away, with nowhere to go. She ended up living with her shady uncle. He's the one who made her a ghost cleaner. Hearing all this, the ghost felt something he hadn't felt in years: sympathy. The two spent a few quiet days together. But one night, Anna found a box of music tapes under her bed. When the ghost saw them, he lit up with excitement. Turns out, he used to be a musician, but no matter how long he worked, his music was never recognized. Eventually, it broke him, and he died in that very room. That tape? It was his final recording, his favorite piece. He begged Anna for a favor. He wanted her to deliver the tape to a music company. Then, he could finally rest in peace and be reborn. Anna agreed, and just like he promised, the ghost disappeared. Her job there was done. She was about to play his music, when suddenly, her phone rang. It was her uncle. He had lined up a new job, which meant Anna had to move again, to another haunted house. But nothing could have prepared her for the ghost she was about to meet next. Want to hear what happens after that? Follow me and leave a comment. I'll be sharing the rest of the story soon. This time, Anna was no longer afraid. She even watched the entire preparation process. Soon, a portion of crystal clear steamed dumplings was completed. Looking at the translucent, pinkish dumplings, Anna couldn't wait any longer. She picked one up with her chopsticks and put it in her mouth. Sure enough, it was tender and delicious. The texture was completely different from before. After finishing all the dumplings, Anna instantly felt as if she had returned to being 18 years old. However, right at that moment, she suddenly received news that her husband had broken his leg. Without a second thought, she immediately rushed to the hospital. But who would have thought that on the way to the hospital, her skin actually began to change? By the time she arrived at the hospital, Anna seemed like a completely different person. Her entire body radiated a youthful vitality. Even her husband, lying in the hospital bed, sensed the change in his wife. Despite his weakness, he immediately perked up. After Anna regained her youth, Her husband stuck to her every day. They even stayed indoors for several days in a row. Because of this, the couple's relationship returned to how it was before. But unfortunately, the good times didn't last long. One day, Anna organized a family gathering. All her old girlfriends praised her for looking younger and younger. At that moment, Anna's heart was filled with immense satisfaction. However, during the meal, a pungent, foul odor suddenly wafted through the air. At first, everyone thought the steak on the table had gone bad, but after some observation, they realized the smell seemed to be coming from Anna herself. Anna also realized something was wrong, so she hurriedly hid in the bathroom. The stench on Anna's body was getting stronger, and parts of her skin began to show signs of rotting. Now Anna was at a loss. She quickly tried to soak her body in petals and perfume, thinking this could cover up the smell. But this method was completely useless. Then she called Lisa. She confronted Lisa, asking if there was poison in the dumplings. Why was her skin rotting? But Lisa was also confused when she heard this. She had been eating them for so many years, and nothing like this had ever happened. She guessed that Anna's body must be rejecting the dumplings, which caused the foul odor and rotting. But there was no need to worry. Once her body adapted to the dumplings, she might return to normal by tomorrow. Hearing this, Anna finally felt relieved. But she didn't know that her conversation with Lisa had been overheard clearly by her husband outside. After some investigation, the wealthy businessman successfully found Lisa's address. Soon, he knocked on Lisa's door. Lisa recognized him immediately as Anna's husband and promptly invited him inside. The wealthy businessman stated that he had come for the dumplings that restore youth. Lisa understood immediately. In no time, she brought over a bowl of steaming hot dumplings. However, just as the wealthy businessman ate the first dumpling, Lisa suddenly proposed a bold idea. This family orders $1 chickens to save money. However, they see the bowls are full of skyward peppers and hardly any chicken. The family's been hungry for a week and starts eating hungrily. However, after just taking 2 bites, they can't handle the spiciness. Mom sweats a lot, son's mouth nearly swells, and dad even cries. Dad decides to pay and stop as he can't bear it. However, the waiter says unfinished food is charged at $5 per gram. In order to save money, they have no choice but to continue eating. With great difficulty, they finally finish eating. The waiter says the soup is also charged $5 per gram. To avoid extra cost, they go all out and pick up the bowls to start drinking the soup. After Mom drinks it, she rushes to the toilet as she can't stand the spiciness. The others take the opportunity to pour the remaining soup into her bowl. When Mom comes back and sees it, she breaks down but drinks it anyway. Then they quickly rushed into the toilet and plopped down in front of the tap to drink. Little did they realize that they were in trouble again. A woman suddenly appeared behind Mom and grabbed all the money she had left.
I strapped stacks of cash all over my girlfriend's body. This was our plan to smuggle the $5 million we'd stolen out of the country. But there was so much money that I had to wrap the rest tightly around her stomach. Before long, she looked like she was 8 months pregnant. If we could just make it through airport security, we'd have more money than we could spend in several lifetimes. To avoid suspicion, we deliberately entered the security area separately, one after the other. Sure enough, when the security staff saw she was pregnant, they waved her through without asking many questions. But just as my girlfriend glanced back at me, I was suddenly stopped by an officer. She looked nervous, but had no choice except to keep her cool and keep moving forward. Turns out my passport had no entry or exit stamps. Fortunately, I stayed calm, and after some quick talking, managed to ease the security officer's suspicions. Next came the most critical part. The full-body scan. Our hearts were in our throats. If anything went wrong, not only would our whole plan fall apart, but we'd be fat being life in prison. I thought we'd covered all our bases, but to my shock, the moment my girlfriend walked through the metal detector, a piercing alarm blared. My heart nearly stopped. Thankfully, my girlfriend Jana quickly removed the necklace from around her neck, which resolved the crisis, and allowed her to pass through without further incident. To avoid drawing any more attention, we picked up our pace, thinking about how we'd soon escape the law and start our new lives as wealthy people. We couldn't help but smile.
A boy was swimming in a pond, curiously diving underwater to watch the fish glide by. But just as he was about to surface, he saw a tiger walk up to the shore. It bent down for a drink, and crimson blood dripped from its mouth. It must have just finished a kill. Startled, the boy quickly wedged his foot into a tree root at the bottom, trying to keep himself from floating up. But after holding his breath for too long, a stream of bubbles escaped his mouth. The tiger noticed. It stared fixedly at the water, refusing to leave. The boy's lungs burned, he was seconds from passing out. Then, suddenly, the tiger turned and walked away. The boy burst to the surface, gasping for air, and scrambled onto the shore, running for his life. But before he got far, a thunderous roar echoed behind him. The tiger had been waiting all along. Panicking, the boy didn't watch his step, and fell straight into a human-made pit trap. His scream echoed through the jungle, catching the attention of a nearby black panther. The panther rushed toward the sound, Luckily, the boy wasn't seriously hurt. He had narrowly avoided a deadly spike, but the tiger was still pacing outside the pit. Even if he climbed out, he'd be torn apart. Just as he was losing hope, heavy footsteps thudded above him. Then something thick and strong slithered down. A trunk wrapped around his body, lifting him up. When he looked up, he froze in shock. It was an elephant. A gentle giant of the forest had saved him. Without asking for anything in return, the elephant quietly turned and walked away. The boy, wasting no time, followed the Black Panther and fled the area. But after this terrifying ordeal, the panther realized the jungle was no longer safe for the boy. He should go back to the human village, the panther thought. Tigers fear human fire, that's where he'll be safe. But to the boy, this jungle was already home. No matter what, he refused to leave. The panther sighed and made him a deal. If you can win the next wolf pack running hunt, you can stay. The running hunt was a fierce race among young wolves. A hunter would try to stop them mid-race. Whoever reached the finish line first would earn the right to become the wolf king. But no matter how much the boy trained, his legs could never match a wolf's speed, so he practiced even harder. The day of the race finally came. This time, the hunter was the Black Panther himself. His cold gaze made the boy's whole body tremble. He knew this wouldn't be easy. At the wolf king's signal, the young wolves bolted forward. The weakest, a small white wolf, was the first to get caught. The boy didn't fare much better. The panther charged straight at him, as if no one else existed. Their eyes met, and in the panther's gaze, he saw real intent to kill. Panicked, the boy climbed up a tree, the panther closing in behind him. Using his smaller size, he squeezed through a narrow gap and escaped. Grabbing a vine, he swung to the other side. If he wanted to win, he had to take a different path. With one deep breath, he leapt off a cliff, and miraculously caught a tree branch mid-fall. Sliding down the trunk, he took a daring shortcut through the forest. Against all odds, he actually caught up to the wolf pack. When the others saw him sprinting in front, even the bear acting as referee was stunned. But just as he was about to cross the finish line, a dark shadow lunged out. The boy hit the ground, inches from victory. The panther's roar echoed, cold and harsh. The boy's eyes filled with tears of frustration. Everyone could see the panther had targeted him. Choking back sobs, he protested to the bear referee. The panther said nothing, only looking regretful. He had to be the villain this time. For the boy's own safety, the loss was final. Even the bear couldn't change the result.
All of your lessons gave me nothing!
And so, the boy walked away crying, his heart heavy with unwillingness and pain.
I was violated by a strange man. To make it even more brutal, my boyfriend had me to witness it. He was so scared and overwhelmed that he rushed to call the police, or Miss Beast was soon arrested and jailed. After recovering physically, I decided to do something that shocked everyone. Began to write letters every day to the man who had violated me, asking for a prison visit. But no matter how many letters I sent, they were returned. Didn't we give up? I kept writing and sending. Finally, after sending my 520th letter, I received a reply from him agreeing to let me see it. That day, I dressed up and went to the prison. And Jack saw me. He thought I had come to question him and was too ashamed to look at me, but I just looked at him tenderly and said I had forgiven him. Even sincerely cared about how his life in prison was going. Looking at me with concern, he smiled. Since then, I've been visiting him every week in revealing clothes, wearing the most beautiful make-on day. He actually took the initiative to come and ask me to meet him. It turned out that in order to get out of prison as soon as possible, he didn't fight back even when he was bullied, and as a result, his body was covered with scars. Looking at his pitiful appearance, I was secretly delighted. Time went by, our relationship became close, like a couple who had nothing to talk about. Until one day, he excitedly told me that he had done well in prison and had been granted parole and would soon be able to leave here. Smiled happily when I heard that, because I had finally waited for this day, could start my revenge.
The couple had already eaten half of the porridge, but the boy's bowl of kidney has not been touched. This made the man suspicious. He smelled the kidney, and there was a strange smell. It made him suddenly remember that the boy had touched the rat poison in the warehouse today.
Peter, what did you do? You tell me. Tell me, what did you do?
You hurt my sister.
The words instantly horrified the couple, because they never told Peter he had a sister. It turned out that Peter was playing in his room, when he suddenly noticed a hole in the wall. Out of curiosity, he went over to take a look. He saw a strange woman. She claimed to be Peter's real sister, and claimed that her parents were not normal human beings, and had been holding her captive for years. She pleaded with Peter to get her out. After a few words from her sister, the young Peter came to believe her, and that's how it happened. The man urgently asked his wife to call the police, but it was too late, because the phone line had already been cut. The problematic porridge began to spread in their bodies. Before the woman could react, Jack's mouth was gushing black liquid. Obviously his internal organs have been severely damaged. The woman couldn't believe that her 6 6-year-old son could do such a thing. She lunged at Peter in a rage, trying to stop him from doing anything else. But when she managed to grab Peter, she vomited violently, because she had also drunk a lot of porridge. Peter backed away in fear. He watched as his mother fell down the stairs and lost consciousness. Then he slowly went up to her, and took the key to the warehouse from her. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, his mother woke up and whispered,
Liam!
But Peter couldn't hear her. He grabbed the key and ran to his sister's cage.
At home, they ate meat every single day, but I never saw them go to the store. This question had been bothering me for a long time. Tonight, at dinner, I finally couldn't hold it in. I couldn't hold it in and spoke up. My mom listened with a cold face. Then she sent me back to my room. I couldn't sleep in bed. I felt they were hiding something. To uncover the secret, I sneaked into my dad's workshop. I hid behind a pillar, ready to find the truth. Soon my father crept in quietly. He checked that no one was around. Then he walked toward a covered body. He pulled out a bag he had prepared earlier. Then he picked up a knife and started working. As he focused, a pair of scissors fell to the floor. I secretly picked up the scissors. Then, while he wasn't looking, I ran out quickly. On the way home, my dad happened to drive by. He saw me and told me to get in immediately. Just as I got in, I noticed a white bag behind us. I reached out to touch it, and he scolded me. At home, my mom ran over angrily. She complained about why I went out alone. At that moment, my dad told her to get something from the car. Her face instantly lit up with a smile. At dinner, the table was filled with meat again, but seeing it, I instantly lost my appetite. Suddenly, the scissors slipped to the floor. I bent down quickly to pick them up. I didn't expect my dad to squat at the same time. He stared at me with a threatening look. I froze in fear. I could only watch him pick up the scissors. He asked where I got them. I lied that I found them on the street, but he didn't believe me. He shoved the scissors into my plate. I jumped up from the table in terror. But then, I saw something even more horrifying.
The moment Jack took his mask off, the girl in front of him was so stunned by his beauty that she passed away. From the moment Jack was born, he had an amazing face. That's why all the doctors died on the spot after Jack was born. They stopped breathing because of Jack's beauty. The parents moved to a very remote area so that no more people would die, and wrapped his face in gauze. Jack's beautiful face could not be shown. It made him feel very confused. When the psychiatrist saw this scene, he didn't believe that Jack's face could bring death, so he insisted on ordering Jack to remove the gauze. As Jack slowly pulled off the gauze, his parents suddenly realized something was wrong. When they rushed to the room, the psychiatrist died in the midst of Jack's beauty, so Jack's appearance became his nightmare. He hated his pretty face. He often fantasized about being ugly. One day, Jack's friend saw how lonely he was, so he warmly introduced Jack to a girl, but they could barely talk to each other. Then the girl's predecessor, Arthur, came to them, and he kept on asking for trouble. Arthur kept laughing at Jack. He condescendingly said Jack was too ugly. That's why he couldn't show his face. Jack didn't say anything back to him. Arthur saw that Jack didn't react, so he started to beat Jack as hard as he could. Luckily, the waiter was there in time to stop it. Otherwise, Arthur would have died from Jack's beauty. The girl saw Jack's weakness, which instantly discouraged her from dating him. The girl turned her back on him and left, and Jack felt instantly devastated. So he decided to jump into the fish pond and end the damn good life. At that very moment, a girl named and stopped him in his tracks. With Annie's constant reassurance, Jack made up his mind to give up this horrible idea for a while. From that day on, Annie became Jack's only good friend. With Annie's presence, Jack began to yearn for a better life. Their relationship gradually changed. They went to the movies and bought toys together. They visited old people in nursing homes. They even put 200,000 candies in the bathtub, and they began to enjoy the sweet life. Just when Jack thought he had finally found happiness, he suddenly realized that Annie was wearing a heart rate monitor. It turns out Annie had a very rare heart condition since she was a child. Annie's heart grew too big because of her strong mood swings, and she had to rely on medication to survive. When Jack heard that, his heart felt like it was being cut with a knife, but Annie was used to it. Now she had only one wish. Annie was looking forward to seeing Jack's face, although Jack wanted to fulfill Annie's wish, but he was afraid Annie would die. At last, at Annie's insistence, Jack slowly removed his sunglasses. When Annie saw Jack for the first time, she fell in love with Jack. When they were ready to take the next step, Jack's parents suddenly came back and saw the scene. They thought Annie was Jack's girlfriend. They were overjoyed. The next day they went to the nursing home. Then Jack put his hand on the old man's hand. He woke the old man from his sleep. Then Jack slowly removed the gauze from his head. When she saw Jack's beautiful face, the next moment, tears of happiness came to her eyes. Soon she died with a smile on her face. The old man died without any pain. Jack slowly accepted his fate.
I was clean
cleaning out the villa I inherited from my grandfather when I discovered an old, worn-out coffin in the basement. As I got closer, I noticed it gave off a strange but pleasant scent. I assumed the coffin had to be some kind of antique. I dragged it back to the living room and carefully cleaned off the dust. Just as I was about to lift the padding and check the compartment underneath, I was stunned by what I saw. The inside of the coffin was packed with ancient gears. This only convinced me more that the coffin was valuable. I called my mechanically skilled friend to help me investigate. He found a winding key made of pure gold among the gears. He cautiously inserted it into a nearby hole and gave it a few turns. To our surprise, the gears inside the coffin began to move again. Curious about the coffin's true purpose, I decided to put my pet goldfish inside. Then I wound the key a full 100 times. As the gears turned red, lightning shot toward the goldfish in the center, but the goldfish didn't seem too affected. I searched for answers in an old book we found in the coffin, but the ancient, unfamiliar language was completely incomprehensible. Just then, my friend noticed the goldfish had stopped moving. We both thought the lightning had killed it, but when the winding key finished its last rotation, the goldfish suddenly came back to life. I decided to ask my brother, a university professor, for help. My brother combed through the entire library and finally found a clue. The coffin was apparently built by an ancient pharaoh to put himself into a temporary death-like state, but no one had ever figured out exactly how it worked. Boldly, I climbed into the coffin myself to test it out. My friend stood by with a video camera, recording the whole thing. As my brother wound the key tightly, red lightning surged toward me, and I instantly lost consciousness. My brother was thrown into a panic. Meanwhile, I looked in shock at my own body. I tried to touch my friend, but my arm passed right through him. Just as they were about to call for help, I suddenly sat up from the coffin. I described my experience of becoming a spirit. After 2 hours of mental preparation, my brother climbed into the coffin too. This time we wound the key 200 times. My brother's soul left his body. After glancing at himself lying still in the coffin, he phased through the wall and left the room. He kept walking in one direction, trying to test how far his soul could go from his body. Before he knew it, he had reached a train track. The sight of an oncoming train made him scream in terror. The next moment, his soul snapped back into his body. When it was my friend's turn, his disabled legs miraculously worked while in spirit form. He walked through a wall and happened to see the girl he liked arguing with her boyfriend. He looked at her with pain in his heart, wanting to wipe away her tears. But just then, the winding key reached its final turn, and his spirit slowly faded into the air. After taking turns with the experience, the three of us shared what we had gone through, but my brother warned the others not to try it again, since we still didn't know if the coffin had any side effects. But excited, I ignored the warning completely. As soon as my brother and friend left, I eagerly climbed back into the coffin. This time, I wound the key 500 times on my own. My spirit headed straight to the convenience store where I work. Meanwhile, the store owner was happily counting the day's earnings. Once everything checked out, the owner walked over to the safe to stash the cash. He never suspected the password had already been memorized by the invisible me standing right beside him.
Mary spotted a floating arm ahead. Curious, she stepped closer to touch it, only to realize it was the body of a dead teammate. Startled, she quickly pulled her hand away. The scene terrified her. She rushed over to check John's body, and to her shock, his eyes were wide open. Could John still be alive? Suppressing her fear, Mary leaned in for a closer look, only to confirm he was definitely dead. She covered him with a white cloth and waited for dawn. Soon the sun slowly rose and Mary got back to repairing the escape pod. As time ticked by, she reached the 1-minute 27-second mark, finally installing the 5th battery. The moment the machine powered up, hope for survival sparked in her heart. She sat in the escape pod's control room and tried to contact mission control for coordinates, but no connection came through. With the oxygen level down to 19%, she had no choice but to do the calculations by hand, figuring out the trajectory and landing coordinates. Once she finished, she input the data into the computer. An hour passed. Staring at the countdown on the screen, Mary knew her chances of making it were slim. She left a final message for her family. Closing and locking the control room door, she suited up in her spacesuit, then secured the second door behind her. But then disaster struck again. As Mary pressed the jettison button to detach from the space station, the bolts jammed. Watching the flashing error light, she pulled out the manual, only to discover the fix required 2 people, but she was the only one left on the station. Despair set in. Back on the ground, mission control watched the countdown, finding no signs of life on their screens. Everyone waited, hoping for a miracle, but at the final second, no distress signal came through. The commanding officer stepped up to deliver a eulogy for the astronauts. Unbeknownst to them, at that very moment, the jammed bolts on the space station suddenly released. As the escape pod began to detach, Mary saw something strange. A shadow moving inside the station. Hadn't everyone evacuated? Why was someone still there? The instruments detected no signs of life. Facing life or death stakes, Mary pushed the escape button. The pod in control room detached, instantly rocketing toward Earth. The moment the pod entered the atmosphere, NASA received the news, a survivor. The entire staff was elated. The high speed caused the pod to go into a negative pressure state and Mary lost consciousness. Eventually the pod landed in a desert. Ground teams rushed to rescue her. But as Mary was carried out, NASA's top officials focused only on the cold atom device, running numerous tests on her. No one noticed the device emitting a dazzling light.
While clearing out the roots of a tree in his yard, the man accidentally uncovered a small humanoid statue buried beneath them. As he brushed away the dirt, the figure's head began to gleam faintly with a golden shine. His breathing grew faster, a mix of unease and excitement flashing in his eyes. He had no idea what it was, but deep down, he could feel that this thing might change his life forever. Charlie hurriedly carried the statue into the house and rinsed it clean with water. The head turned out to be gold-plated. He hid it deep in the storage shed, unable to sleep that night. One thought kept circling in his mind. How much could this be worth? The next day, Charlie arranged to meet his close friend Michael in secret. He showed him a photo of the statue on his phone. Michael's breathing quickened, his voice lowering as he asked if the statue was made of solid gold. Charlie shook his head, saying it was only gold-plated, but as an ancient artifact, it could be just as valuable. Michael's excitement was impossible to hide. He clapped Charlie on the shoulder, laughing as he urged him to find a buyer fast. Still, he couldn't help but ask where Charlie had found it. Charlie hesitated, then replied coolly, "That doesn't matter." Michael frowned, sensing that Charlie was hiding something. Pressed for an answer, Charlie made up a story. He said he'd found it while wandering in the mountains, completely by chance. Michael's expression relaxed instantly, and his tone turned eager. He said he had connections, people who specialized in acquiring items like this. But he also added a condition. He wanted a cut. Charlie paused for a few seconds, then nodded. Michael promised he'd have news soon. On the way home, Charlie sped down the road on his motorcycle, wind roaring past his ears. He tilted his head back and let out
Дайте звука! Зачитает тут права, в синей форме арава. Там железные оковы, да на руки рукава. Терпи, буйна голова, терпи, буйна голова. Пряник, кнута, булава, суп в Атланте, дерева. Мякиш, хлеба, чай, халва. Терпи, буйна голова, ты наломала коль трава. Буйна, буйна голова, заварила кашу с маслом и сожрали мусора. 2 патрона, 3 пера, 3 прихлопа, 2 жмура. Ключ от бура на карман, вышли вон хозяева, здесь рулит буйна голова. Буйна голова, и главный буйна голова. Когда буйна голова закипала на раз-два, струйно дым валил по трубам и шумела вся тюрьма. 3 прута и 2 кола, Воркута колокола, Магада